Welcome back to Miss Phoenix's 22 podcast. Welcome, you guys. Welcome back. On this podcast, you'll learn a lot about empowerment, healing, and self-love. Self-love is the best love, right? We are pushing ourselves and we are letting shit go. No more, no more. Always have to give the disclaimer about African American men. You're welcome. You're welcome in this space with us. But this particular podcast is all about my women, my goddesses, right? My black goddesses. No offense to the Caucasian women. I love you too. But we as black women go through a lot, okay? We carry a lot on our backs and it's not fair, okay? Like I say in my other videos, we are sorry, got my teeth. We are trained to take things and push them to the side, push our feelings to the side, push our emotions to the side, and I don't think that that's fair. And it wasn't fair for me, okay? So that's what this podcast is all about. We are releasing, we are inviting whom we are, our true selves. We are building ourselves up, and we are empowering one another, right? We are learning, and whatever you can learn from me, please grab hold to it and teach someone else. If you are new here, my name is Miss Phoenix. I am the CEO and founder of Miss Phoenix's Rooms of Healing. I have been on my spiritual journey for 4 years now. I have two beautiful girls, age 13 and 10. And what I like to tell you guys, a spiritual journey isn't about just going to get your nails done. All peaches and creams and light all the time. It's a duality. Life is about balance, right? And you have to dig deep inside, and you have to pull out those things that you don't want to talk about. You don't want to bring up anymore. You don't want to face. That's called shadow work. You don't want to do that, and you have to do that in order to heal. That's just what it is. It's some things that I don't want to talk about. It's some things that I don't want to go over again. But I have to in order to heal the inner child in me. And lately, the inner child has been jumping for joy the past few months, okay? So I am proud of myself, as well as those that have been on this journey with me. This, like I said, on this channel, on this podcast, the main core is codependency, is learning. That's why I have a up and growing class that I'll be presenting to you guys, of your choice. But it's many subjects that I'll be talking about that coexist with codependency. That's why the first video was about trust issues, and I was talking about my mom, I was talking about my grandma, I was talking about my aunt. So it's steps to get to actual healing. And healing is a one-day process. It's forever, right? It's a forever thing. So today we're going to be discussing domestic violence, right? I have experienced domestic violence, and no, it's not a pretty thing. If you go on YouTube or if you look at the news now, it's many videos. It's many stories about women that are dealing with or have dealt with domestic violence, and it's not a pretty thing. It's not a pretty thing at all. And if I can advise you and if I can help you, you need to get out of those toxic relationships, no matter if it's family or as a relationship. Those things aren't good for you. So what's the definition of domestic violence? First, Miss Phoenix is a writer that speaks. So I have plenty of paperwork that I'll probably be picking up and picking down. Again, if that's not your thing, maybe I'm not the person for you. I also curse a little bit here and there. If that's not your thing, again, I might not be the person for you. And I've come to realize and accept that everything isn't for everyone. I can only express myself in the way that my authentic self. And this is me. I'm relaxed. I like who I am. I like whom I'm growing into. And I'm going to be heard regardless of how anyone feels. So that's just a disclaimer there. But going back to domestic violence. Domestic violence is it's an aggressive behavior within a home. Typically involving the violent abuse of a spouse or a partner, right? Dig deep and down. To dig deeper, it's physical harm, it's bodily injury, it's assault, it's affliction, right? It's fear, it's physical harm, it's assault, non-essential and sexual conduct are non-essential, like penetration, unlawful harassment, stalking of one partner to another. I hope you guys understood what I was saying there. It's very dangerous. And a couple months ago, throughout the relationship that I've experienced recently, it was a lot of that, and it hurts me because my children had to see that, and I never wanted that for me or my children, but things happen for you to learn, okay? And again, also take accountability for yourself and what part you played in that situation. So there are also patterns of an abusive cycle. I'm going to give you 4 to 7 patterns of an abusive cycle. So it's tension buildup, in the incident, reconciliation, and then the calmness. Or more so, using intimidation, using emotional abuse, using isolation, minimizing, denying, and blaming, using your children, of course, and many of you, I'm pretty sure, can understand that or agree with me there. Male privilege or woman, because women can also be abusive also. Using coercion or threats. Coercion, pursuing someone to do something by force or threat, right? So my breakdown of it, and we might have a part 2 to this. So let's say the build up, the tension, the build of the tension. This is where one partner tries their hardest to not anger the other partner, right? To displease the other partner and to anger. That's what that is. And it's kind of hard to not do that when you're dealing with the narcissist. It's really hard to please that person. The only time that person will be pleased is if him or her is in control, right? And then you have the standover. My notes say this is where the abuser used intimidation to become agitated with their partner. This is usually where they treat, and which comes into play, like I said, like they use intimidation. They antagonize the hell out of you. Right? And then there's an explosion, right? The abuser becomes enraged. That person explodes on you. in a mental, physical, emotional. It can be even financial. It can also be sexual, behaviors, or even spiritual violence. You guys have no idea. You have no idea. Mentally, physically, it's very draining. Emotionally, it's very draining. I had a lot. We fought a lot about finances in my relationship. Sex was a big thing. I can say you never use sex as a weapon in a relationship. Intimacy is a good thing. Sex is supposed to be a good thing between two people. But when it becomes abusive, when it becomes a weapon, it is not good. Sometimes it turn into rape, Also, I'm not saying my partner did that, but in the sense of using sex, it was used as manipulation, right? And then there's the remorse. This is where your abuser tries to justify their actions, right? With excuses most of the time, or pretend that they are feeling some type of sorrow or remorse, right? Excuse after excuse, giving minimum justification of the abuse that person caused to you, right? Also, before this stage, isolation happens, and they make you isolated to make you feel like no one wants you, or no one wants to be around you, or you're not needed. Those are the traits of a narcissist, right? So right before they return with the begging and the pleading and the sorries, they isolate you for a very long time, and then they come back with the excuses. You don't want that. Then there's the honeymoon stage. I think we all understand about the honeymoon stage. This is where the promises began, right? They grant you with the changes